In the recent few years, I have seen a very big change in terms of the nature of Assassin's Creed games, and specifically, the side characters in Assassin's Creed games have been rapidly downgraded in the recent years. In this video, I'm gonna talk about the problems with side characters in Assassin's Creed games in the recent few years. But before that, make sure to like this video and consider subscribing to this channel if you want similar type of videos. And sorry for not posting for almost 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks actually, because I had some exams, and when exams happen after that, when you are like not making any videos, you just get kind of lazy, right? So finally I have the motivation to make again. Now I will keep on making videos. I just have some assignments and stuff, it takes away my time. So to start the story, let's move back to Assassin's Creed 1. Let's take the side character of Malik. Starting from the beginning itself, he was not on good terms with Altair, because as we know, Altair was pretty arrogant in the start, and especially when Malik had his one arm destroyed and brother killed because of Altair, he got even more angry, and it's pretty reasonable as it was a lot to lose. So you can see the way he talked to Altair showed the anger he had against Altair. And slowly throughout the game, as Malik sees that Altair is transforming, he slowly changes his attitude towards Altair as he realizes that Altair is becoming a better person as well thought assassin who can take decisions now because of his experience. In the end, as we know, he helps Altair against Al-Mualim, if you guys have played it. But one thing that lagged was that because there were no proper cutscenes in the game, it felt kind of off, There was not a lot of parts of Malik, so we were not able to see change in Malik towards Altair that much. It was like a really drastic change. In one mission he was angry, and in the next mission of his, he completely changes the way he talks with Altair. So it was pretty drastic in my opinion, and that could have been solved by having proper cutscenes in the game. Obviously, this was the first Assassin's Creed game, and for the first try it did pretty good. Certainly not the best, but laid the foundation, obviously. Now, it could have been better, that's another topic, but for the first game it was pretty good. But anyways, Altair as a main character was pretty good to me as well. Now, this was the situation of side characters in Assassin's Creed 1. I gave an example of Malik. Now, there's other characters as well. I thought to give him as an example because he was a really good character in my opinion, and his behavior completely changes towards Altair. So, that was a pretty good side character in my opinion. So, moving forward in Assassin's Creed 2, this was the game changer for the franchise in my opinion. The cutscenes in the game significantly improved, and that made the characters shine even more. The characters were able to portray themselves much better. That ultimately improved the story of the game. Take the example of Leonardo's character. It actually felt like we are interacting with an intellectual. He had his own sort of personality which separated him from other characters of the game. He did not feel like a random NPC of the streets. Similarly, we can see the other characters as well in Assassin's Creed 2. Another example would be of Uncle Mario. That character was kind of mixed, sometimes he was kind of funny, sometimes he was serious and giving Ezio some advice, stuff like that. So it was kind of a mixed character, I would say. And just like that, all the characters had their own sort of thing going on, but it was like really easy to connect with these characters in this game compared to Assassin's Creed 1. And because of that, I would say it was a massive improvement. Now, this trend continued in the Ezio trilogy as well. And I would say in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, the characters were at the peak. Black Flag had so many good characters, especially all of our pirate friends with whom we used to sail here and there while gossiping, on the ship. And we also get to see more about those characters. We were not just focused on Edward's story, but the other characters' story as well, and what was going on in their lives. Some of them turned out bad and some really good, depending on the circumstance. We saw each and everyone's journey. Now, I don't even need to give examples in this game because there's so many examples that it can be made a separate video. For example, the character of Blackbeard, the character of Mary Reed, the character of Adewale, especially, Adewale, I would say he's like, he's a protagonist in one of the DLC, so I don't know if I should consider it a side character. But anyways, I just included him in this game. Now, in Assassin's Creed Rogue as well, I would say it was pretty good because Assassin's Creed Rogue was like, it came after, I would say, Black Flag. It was a good game, to be honest. It did not perform that well because, it was launched beside like Assassin's Creed Unity, despite the fact that Assassin's Creed Rogue was a better game in terms of story than Unity, I would say. But Unity was like the next gen game, right? So, most people played that game. But I would say that Rogue was a really good game as well. I don't see any problems with it. But starting from Assassin's Creed Unity, I think that degradation started. For example, I didn't really like the character of the other assassins with whom we spent our time. I don't even properly recall them. With the Ezio trilogy, I almost remember all the assassins with whom we did our work. I just didn't find any of the assassins in Assassin's Creed Unity having their own sort of behavior, I don't even remember their names, to be honest. I just remember the guy whom we killed, the Belek, whatever his name was, that guy only. Other than that, I don't remember like the names of the other. And obviously their names were like really hard as well, they were friends, so yeah, there's that. But anyways, now this thing increased even more in Assassin's Creed Unity, I would say. Take the example of Henry Green. His character felt very bland and boring. Plus, we didn't really get to know about him properly in the game. There were small dialogues here and there, but those were not impactful enough in my opinion. There's a difference between a character shown in a cutscene versus what we see of him while we are playing. In cutscenes, we get to know more about them because we are not focused on playing the game but actually seeing the cutscene. With the dialogues that are spoken while we are playing the game, we just don't get to focus on them that much. So I feel like the major parts should be included in cutscene to emphasize more about the character. So this was kind of the case with Assassin's Creed Syndicate, that we are riding the wagon or the carriage or whatever, and the dialogues are spoken at that time. We are focused on driving a vehicle, and that was like really hard for me specifically to focus on the game, while driving around. I just don't have the concentration to do that a lot of times, and I feel like a lot of people as well, they probably don't even know that the things are said throughout the gameplay. I feel like cutscenes should have more in them. Now, the next game that came after Assassin's Creed Syndicate kind of felt like we were about to be on track again, and that is obviously Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, first of all, Bayek as a main character was pretty good, but we also got pretty good side characters in this game. But one thing I would like to say is that in this game, Bayek was mostly fighting on his own, because obviously the assassins were not formed at this point. He, with the help of Aya, formed the hidden ones, but before that, he was one-man army. So we did not see many side characters with whom we used to regularly engage. So the nature of this game was pretty different. We were mostly by our own. So I just cannot judge this game based on the side characters, to be honest, because I just don't know like this enough. There's some like here and there in between, in specific parts, but not some side characters that are throughout the game with us. I don't know if you could say Aya as side character because we actually play with her, right? So I don't know if we should count her, but if we do count her, then she's pretty good. But for the most part, we play as Bayek, right? So anyways, again, after Assassin's Creed Origins, the trend started going downwards in my opinion. With Odyssey, most of the cutscenes were automated. We barely got to see any legit cutscenes. Most of it was just one guy standing on one side and the other guy standing on the other side, and they talked like AIs with no proper expressions that are used in real life conversations. In the older Assassin's Creed game, they tried to make it natural, but now because of the dialogue choice system, they kind of made it completely automated. There are cutscenes in the game, but the amount of cutscenes that are there in this game are like almost negligible, to be honest. There's very few. Obviously, if you see the size of the game, you're gonna say, well, the game is this big, so obviously there's gonna be more cutscenes. But I feel like, most of the parts were like basically the dialogue choice system, where we used to have conversations. Plus, they also removed the use of mocap dialogues. That significantly hampers the overall cutscenes in my opinion. And especially if you remember Marcos, whenever I heard that guy, man, I felt pain. Like, I just cannot say anything else, man. That listening to that guy was pain. I just sometimes I would just skip his dialogues, man. I just couldn't bear it, to be honest. And same goes to like a lot of other characters, man. I would say some of the characters that we meet in Athens and stuff like that, they also kind of felt really annoying, to be honest, the way they used to talk. It just did not feel natural. Like, it just felt like, they just added the cutscenes just for the sake of adding something, right? I felt like they were just forced to add that thing. It just feels like a Bethesda game, to be honest. No hate to Bethesda fans, but this is what I feel. The main reason why I like Assassin's Creed in the first place is because of the conversations, the story, the characters in the game. But when they remove this sort of thing and make it something like some other game that is like completely different, I just don't like that sort of thing. Now, with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I would say most of it kind of remained the same, and the dialogues were a little better in my opinion, even though we still have the dialogue choice system in that game. But it also suffers from the same problem. How many of you guys didn't actually feel a connection with the characters in this game? I bet a lot of you guys, Obviously, characters like Sigurd and Ranvi and, there's 2-3 more, but other than that, I felt like the other characters were just not that much good to me, and I did not feel any sort of connection with them. Thinking about a game this big, that game was huge. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a pretty huge game. If the cutscenes, if the characters were good, I feel like it could have been like so much better. It could have probably become one of the best games, man. Who knows, right? See, with Red Dead Redemption 2, it's such a big game, and the bigger the game, the more connection you're gonna feel with the characters. But with this game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and also with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we just didn't get to feel that much connection, despite of the fact that the length of these games are huge. These games are really big, but we still don't feel anything, right? So there is a fundamental problem with these characters, right? Because the personality of these characters and the way they behave are all the same. There is not like a differentiating factor. A lot of their expressions and gestures and their overall behavior are pretty much indifferent in my opinion. That's the biggest problem I see in the recent Assassin's Creed games. I just feel like with this new AI stuff coming in, Ubisoft is going to use this even more, and it's going to completely, maybe if the AIs are going to improve, it's going to get better, but I feel like if they don't, they're going to use this sort of technology and they will just completely eradicate any sort of personality, present in a character. I just see the characters in this game and I just feel like, man, how bad we have gone, from Assassin's Creed 2 to this game. Like, seriously, man, how can these recent games have a good story if they don't have a proper side character? Side characters play a significant role in enhancing the overall narrative of the game. Now, I don't need to talk about the side characters in Assassin's Creed Mirage because it is pretty much the same as Assassin's Creed Valhalla, to be honest, and I was pretty angry on Mirage for that in the beginning, but to be honest, I don't think people should consider Assassin's Creed Mirage as a full-fledged game. It acted as a small back to the roots experience. It was good as a whole, I would say, despite of its small budget. So I didn't expect that much upgrade in terms of side characters in Assassin's Creed Mirage. But moving forward, do you guys think that Assassin's Creed Codename Red is gonna break this streak of bad side characters, or we are gonna still suffer the same thing that we suffered before? I think I'm a little skeptical on that, considering it is gonna be an RPG game. But let's hope that Ubisoft is gonna surprise us. And I've already made a video on are the RPG games, inherently bad. You should check it out. I don't mean to say that RPG games are bad, but RPG games in general have a tendency to kind of eliminate all these sort of things like the story, the characters. Most of the RPG games kind of focus on the grind and not the story itself, the narrative part of the game. That's why we have this term, the narrative games, because we have created these sort of chambers, right? Some games are meant to be like RPGs, some games are meant to be narrative driven. Why not have both at the same time? Like, why do we have two different sort of categories? So it's pretty hilarious. Like, there's multiple things that can be implemented in the same game. There's no need to have different categories in my opinion. As I said before, Ubisoft can surprise us because there is a complete change in the game development pipeline. So we can see an improvement in this sort of stuff. They have a new Anvil pipeline. Anvil is Ubisoft's engine that is used in order to create all these sort of Ubisoft games, especially Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, Far Cry and stuff like that. But we just have to wait for that, and I cannot comment anymore on this sort of topic and what we are gonna see in the future. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, by the way. Make sure to like this video and feel free to subscribe to this channel if you want similar type of videos, and comment down on your thoughts on Assassin's Creed Codename Red, and is it gonna have better side characters? As I said, I'm pretty skeptical on this issue, to be honest. I'm just gonna wait and see. There's gonna be trailer in some time, like in 2 or 3 months probably, so we're gonna see that. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.